And everyone who's ever been sued for it, and there are many, not in the fastener industry, but mainly in the plumbing industry, they've just rolled over and paid it, or, of course, removed the lead from their brass. And that's what we should be doing, is just taking the lead out of the brass.
It's time for Fully Threaded Radio.
It is Fully Threaded Radio, voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. If you buy, sell, manufacture, import, distribute, or just covet fasteners, well, this is the podcast for you. We're so glad you clicked in, everybody. Eric Dudas here with you, and we're joined, as always, by the co-host of Fully Threaded, progenitor of the legendary Scrubber software, and all-around nice guy. He's Brian Musker. Bri, how you doing?
Doing good. You didn't actually have to covet fasteners. You just have to be even slightly interested in them, okay, to be listening to this podcast.
Yeah, well, you want to have something to do with the whole idea of threaded fastening, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay, a loose interpretation will do.
Yeah, right. Sort of loose, okay.
So based on the last episode when we were discussing VUCA, all of the issues swirling around, are you still feeling the effects, or have things smoothed out for you this month? How's it been?
I think the level of uncertainty is about the same as it has been all year, so I'm not sure if this is a sort of a new thing for us, or the industry, actually.
Yes, I'd have to agree with that. We'll hear during the Fastener News Report today that the FDI is ablaze, and I know a lot of you have seen that headline. We'll get some deeper coverage on that, but yeah, I guess a little bit more VUCA reporting coming up on this episode 131 of Fully Threaded Radio, everybody. We'll be publishing this time on August 23rd, 2018. We're so glad you were able to click in again, folks, as always.
Yeah.
We'll get things started today with a conversation with Carmen Vertullo, who is rejoining us after speaking on episode 129 about the Prop 65 issue that's swirling around. He recently presented a webinar on that subject to update the industry on what's going on, what measures might be taken, and he'll be filling us in with some recent developments. That's pretty VUCA inspiring, Bri.
Yeah, I know. Do I need to know any more about this? I suppose the answer is we all have to.
Unfortunately, yes. On a lighter note, the International Fastener Expo is coming up. Everybody knows that. Joining us to give us a preview, it's Morgan Wilson and Linh Vu from Emerald Expositions. Dan Zehnder with Trinity Logistics and the NFDA joins Mike McNulty on the Fastener News Report. As I mentioned, the FDI was on fire last month. They'll drill down into all the details behind that. And on our feature segment today, we speak with Mike O'Connor. He's the founder and president of Innovative Components. Also, we discover he dabbles in fishing lure manufacturing. That was kind of a surprise, Brian.
Yeah, no. It's letting your company help you. I know. It's a great use of your company resources, I would think.
We don't talk about fishing nearly enough on this podcast. We'll make up for that during today's segment.
I don't know how we veered into that subject. It's very unusual, very unusual for us.
So easy to do. And stick around till the end of the podcast today. We'll close out with a discussion on clearinghouses. Yes, there's more than just one clearinghouse that fastener professionals might be interested in, Bri.
Wow, I can't wait. I'm not sure if we need the competition, though, really.
Yeah, I don't think this one is going to compete with FCH. Don't worry.
Okay, right.
Speaking of clearinghouses, why don't you play Ed McMahon right now and tell our listeners all about the fine sponsors of the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I can't really make up his voice. But, yeah, we are lucky. We have a great set of sponsors of Fully Threaded. The title sponsor of Fully Threaded Radio is Stillfast. Stillfast, for service you deserve and people you trust. Also sponsoring Fully Threaded Radio are Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, International Fastener Expo, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, Volt Industrial Plastics, the Worth Group, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. So thanks, all of you.
Astute listeners will have noticed a new name in that lineup, and that is Parker Fasteners. Parker is a premier cold heading manufacturer. Some of you may remember back on episode 122 of the podcast, we spoke with Matt Boyd. Parker was at the Vegas show last year. They were showcasing some of their 3D printing capabilities. They're dabbling in that for sure. And I would be shocked if we don't hear from Matt in the near future on the same subject and more. Parker's got quite a bit going on, including the industry's newest, most innovative security fastener, Lockout. So we're glad to have them aboard. Get out to parkerfasteners.com and stay tuned to this podcast. We'll give you more info on Parker Fasteners. Welcome aboard, guys.
Yeah, right.
Get with us anytime. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. And we're also out there on Twitter. The handle's Fully Threaded. Bri, we've talked about this before. You don't get out onto Twitter too often. But I saw one fly by that caught my eye, mainly because I thought it would provide kind of a handy segue.
Okay.
This is going back a couple of days now, Bri, but I thought it was fairly interesting. It was from the Young Fastener Professionals, and they were commenting that in less than 4 years, almost 50% of the 30 under 30 group, that was a thing that they held a couple of years back, those recipients have left the fastener industry. What do you think about that statistic?
Wow. Presumably the Young Fastener Professionals will be able to tell us all about that at the show in Las Vegas.
Well, there were quite a few people who chimed in. You know, Twitter can be a little bit of a field of chirping crickets. You solicit input, and a lot of times you don't get anything. This actually generated quite a few comments. I think we'll save a lot of those for a follow-up, but it definitely caught my eye because I knew several people had left the industry. Ryan Curtis, the founder of YFP, left shortly after receiving the Young Fastener Professional of the Year award, by the way. And Mike Ricciardi, who was with us last year, talking about the leadership conference, he split recently.
Oh.
A lot of turnover with those millennials.
Right. Well, I guess that's the view. They're looking for things in a hurry, okay? Mind you cannot typecast everyone just based on when they're born.
Well, we're not doing that. We're looking at facts, and I was shocked by this one. But speaking of the YFP and the Leadership Conference, the Leadership Conference is happening again, sponsored by the NFDA in partnership with the YFP. That's happening September 10th and 11th in La Mirada, California. We had Brian Wheeler and Mike Ricciardi on last year. They were recounting what happened at last year's Leadership Conference, and I mean, it was really a powerhouse event. This year they're going to roll it into a PAC West meeting. And the climax of that is going to be a panel discussion with Tim Roberto from Stainless, Jamie Lawrence from AVK, and Rockstar Simi from Stelfast.
Oh, okay.
So not only do you get to discover what it takes to thrive in the future of the fastener industry, but you get all that. So the NFDA Leadership Conference happening September 10th and September 11th. That's www.nfda-fastener.org. You might be too old for that, though, Bri.
I'm way too old for most of this. Every morning after workout, I feel even older still. I should say that finding new uses for the scrubber helps keep me young, and working out does the rest.
So those are your secrets. You hear that, folks? Tips for you YFPers out there. Just stay tuned to this podcast. Hey, everybody. Thanks again for clicking in. We've got lots to cover today.
Yeah.
It's Fully Threaded Radio. We'll be back right after these words.
These guys aren't screwing around much. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio, Internet Talk Radio for the fastener industry.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stelfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Since 1905, Buckeye Fasteners and the Ohio Nut and Bolt Company have been supplying the world with high-quality fasteners. Our standard product lines include weld fasteners, braided weld screws, leg levelers, self-clinching hardware, clevis pins, rivet nuts, and various other fastener lines, allowing us to support virtually all types of industries. We have complete custom manufacturing capabilities in low carbon, medium carbon, and stainless steel materials, and our quality systems are registered to ISO standards. Our on-staff engineering department can assist you with product development and provide total technical support. Our knowledgeable sales team members offer superior customer service and are here to answer any questions you may have regarding our products. Having a hard time finding a part? Let our sourcing specialists do the work for you to locate those items. We offer competitive pricing with typically smaller minimums and shorter lead times. To find out more about Buckeye Fasteners, please call us at 800-437-1689 or on the web at buckeyefasteners.com. Buckeye Fasteners, more than just weld.
Parker Fasteners is your premier cold heading manufacturer, forging the future with precision and quality as our top priority. When you think of domestically produced sockets and tamper-proof screws from alloy and stainless, including A286, think Parker Fasteners. Our lockout line of security fasteners feature high torque, oval center pin design, and unique lobes that provide one-of-a-kind security for your customers. Our in-house 3D printing capability makes the prototyping process fast and affordable, and we're ready to produce your large or small run orders with highly competitive pricing and unbeatable lead times. So, forge the future with Parker Fasteners. Visit Parker Fasteners online today at parkerfasteners.com.
My customer sent me a print for a bolt specifically for the machine in his shop, but we can't make it.
Solution Man can. Provide me with a print, and my superhuman CNC machining team will custom make it for you faster than a manufacturer's rep drinking at an open bar. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
Wow, that is fast.
So are you at the Distributive Social, huh?
Coming to you live from a much larger desk drawer, this is Jake Davis with BTM Manufacturing, and you are listening to my friends Brian and Eric on Fully Threaded Radio.
So, Brian, we know that you weren't looking out on Twitter, but scrolling through LinkedIn a little bit at all lately?
I do have a little look here and there, yeah.
Did you happen to see BTM Manufacturing's little movie on the Fastener Show coming up?
I did not see that, no.
It was very cool. By the way, BTM will be in booth 3459.
Okay, no doubt we'll be visiting them. See what Jake's up to.
They were pointing out that U-Bolt blend coffee will be available at the BTM booth this year. That's why I was asking, Brian, because I know you're always looking for a cup of bean while we're out there.
Oh, you are right. Yeah. Especially later in the day, I just, when after you've been standing there for 6 hours or something, you need a little bit of incentive to keep standing.
Yeah, U-Bolt blend coffee might be just the ticket. I don't know. Is this a knockoff a little bit of Old Rusty Bolt?
I can't imagine that at all. Why do you think that would be?
Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll have the rundown of all of our friends and sponsors and where their booths are on the next episode. Don't want to launch that off too early, although I will say FCH will be in booth 2858 this year.
Good. And we'll have our Jumbotron there.
The Fastenertron will be in full force.
Yeah.
We've got a conversation with Carmen Vertullo coming up in a few moments, everybody. He's going to give us an update on the Prop 65 issue. There have been some developments since he joined us on episode 129, and he promised to come back and bring those to us. So our buddy Carm's out there, and I think you'll find it, if nothing else, it might be a little disturbing, but hey, I'd rather know, you know.
Oh, I don't think I like disturbing things.
Well, again, it's this whole VUCA-inducing atmosphere we're in.
Yeah, the FDI, the worry, will it go higher or not?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So the FDI is through the roof, and of course that immediately makes people start saying, okay, when's it going to crash?
I know.
Talked to Tim O'Keefe over there at GL Hewitt, and he referred to the business environment as frothy. You like that? Frothy.
Yeah, goes with old Rusty Bolt, I would think.
I think it goes with you Bolt Blend Coffee better. No, yeah, maybe not. Suds. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah, Tim was telling me they've paid out over $100,000 in duties so far.
Oh, hell. This is the whole tariff thing that comes back to bite you.
Yeah, Bri. Let's turn back to Prop 65, shall we?
Okay.
That'll cheer us all up. But before we do that, let's just remind everybody that we'd like to see you out at the FCH Sourcing Network whenever the need comes up, when you're looking for a hard-to-find fastener, a fill-in, that sort of thing. The website is www.fastenersclearinghouse.com. It's a free-to-use resource. There's over 1.5 million line items out there. On the other side of that coin, if you're looking to move fasteners, we'd be happy to talk to you. Get out to the FCH Sourcing Network, fastenersclearinghouse.com.
Fasteners with an S, okay?
And what's the S for this time?
Could be S for scrubber, could be S for super searchers.
Okay, I don't really have anything that clever this time either. But anyway, folks, it's an S. The S is for something very good.
Lots, okay.
I sat down with Carmen Vertullo recently, right after he presented the first of a series of webinars as an update on the topic of Prop 65. There was lots of attention paid to episode 129 when he appeared initially on this subject. It's a very good follow-up.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Let's play that now, and we'll talk to you after.
Yep.
If you listen to episode 129 of the podcast, which you should have, you would have heard Carmen Vertullo discussing Proposition 65, which is impacting the fastener industry to some extent and could be a lot more in the near future. He promised to come back and update us as things unfold with this issue, and just recently he gave a webinar on the subject. Numerous people from the industry listened. I know there's another one of those scheduled, a Redux. He's here with us now, joining us from the Carver Fact Center in San Diego, California. It's Carmen Vertullo. Hey, Carm, thanks for coming back to tell us what's up.
Thank you, Eric. I'm happy to be here.
So let's just start off with the obvious. Have there been any major developments since the last episode when you kind of gave us the backdrop of Prop 65 and its potential impacts?
There have been, whether you would call them a development or a discovery. I'm not sure about the timing, but they were new for us to find out. One of which is we have had a fastener supplier served with a 60-day notice in Southern California. Actually, it's the same 60-day notice went to a supplier who sold the product to a local retailer. And the enforcer got the product out of the retailer, tested it, was hot dip galvanized anchor bolts, and they got a 60-day notice for lead. So that's kind of a canary in the mine thing for me. So maybe we are now a little bit more on the radar than we used to be for that kind of a thing. The other thing that is a new development is a 60-day notice was served to a brass bar supplier, Krupp, who is a very large metal supplier for brass and lead. And even though they're in the Midwest, I think Indiana or Illinois, I'm not sure where, but they sold this product on the internet. And internet sales are part of Prop 65's purview. So they were served a 60-day notice for lead and brass. Why that's very significant is I don't believe lead and brass is really an exposure problem. But everyone who's ever been sued for it, and there are many, not in the fastener industry, but mainly in the plumbing industry, they've just rolled over and paid it, or of course removed the lead from their brass. And that's what we should be doing, is just taking the lead out of the brass for our products. But if these guys decide to fight this, that could be helpful to us all. So I'm hoping that's what they'll do, and we can do some things to put this lead in brass issue to bed and go back to using leaded brass if we so choose. So that's a big piece of news, and I'll be following that closely to see what happens. Both of them, actually, both of those 60-day notices. And I don't know if I said this last time, but one of the things that all of us should be aware of is it's very easy to keep up to speed when these 60-day notices get filed. The California Attorney General has a website. You can go and search by chemical, by product type, by plaintiff, by defendant. And you can find out, for example, if I wanted to know if there were any 60-day notices for brass served between now and, a month ago, I can do that search and find out. That's how I found the one for the brass bars.
Okay, so pretty dramatic developments, and really something you sounded kind of concerned about during the last episode. And folks, again, we covered a lot of ground on that episode, so please do go back and listen, because we're not going to repeat most of that. You had this webinar recently, as I mentioned. Was it well attended? How was that produced? How did you actually pull that off?
Well, the webinar was on Tuesday of this week, 2 days ago. It went well. We had about 100 people, and that probably represented, 40 or so companies. The webinar was actually sponsored by NFDA and the Pacific West Fastener Association. I want to thank them a lot for doing that. It was free to members. And it was produced by Jo Morris, who produces the FTI training video. She did a marvelous job, as she always does. And it was recorded. So the recording will be available somehow. We're not quite sure how we're going to make it available, but it'll be available. And I thought that basically one of the reasons I wanted to do the webinar is I have a coalition, maybe coalition is a fair word. I'll call it a research partnership of people that I'm consulting who have asked me to help with this. And so they've spent some money to help to have me develop a report, which has been developed. And I presented that report in the webinar. The report was only made available hard copy or PDF to the actual members of that research partnership. And I need more members of that research partnership. So if this is something that you want to get involved in, please, you know how to get a hold of me, or get a hold of Eric to get a hold of me. And I'd like to give you some information on that. If you're at all concerned about Prop 65, and especially if you know some things about it, I would really like to have some other smart people come alongside and say, hey, here's what we think is going on. Some of the bigger companies are doing things a little bit differently than I would recommend. Some of the smaller companies don't know what to do, and some of the smaller companies know exactly what to do. I see some folks that are doing a really good job with this, and some that really are making some very badly informed decisions on how to deal with Prop 65.
Well, I'm thinking there's a lot to discuss with what you just said, but let's roll back to the webinar now. Did you receive some feedback from the webinar so far? And if so, what have you learned?
I did. I got great feedback from the webinar, mainly questions that, even though the webinar was almost 2 hours long, about half were questions. There were some other questions that either came up later or that there was not time for, and I've answered all of those, probably about 10 or 15 emails I've gotten in the last 2 days, and they're still coming in. I just saw one just a minute ago. And questions like, for example, someone was selling a clamp that had a black rubber cover on it. And that black rubber cover contains something called carbon black. Carbon black is on the Prop 65 list. And so they got a warning with that product. It says this contains carbon black. Well, their perception, and this is how Prop 65 works, you can make the decision to warn or not warn based on your knowledge of your product and its use in the industry. You're not using the carbon black in a manufacturing operation. It's not getting into the air. You're not breathing it. It's not getting on your hands. It's bound up in the clamp. So based on that, they made a very nice report or policy stating that there's no Prop 65 warning required with this product. Another one of the Prop 65 partners uses brass inserts inside of a plastic knob. Those brass inserts may or may not have lead in them. They don't control that, but the brass insert is inside the knob. You can't touch it. Now, I'm of the opinion, by the way, you can't get exposed to enough lead by touching brass to be an issue anyway, but we've never tested that. So that's one of the things I'm hoping that ThyssenKrupp issue will resolve, is whether or not handling brass bolts or nuts or doorknobs or keys or anything else is really an issue.
So it's going to be important to watch these two cases that you mentioned at the top of our conversation, how they unfold. That's pretty clear. What else did you learn? I mean, what overall is the industry's response to this?
A few things that I would say I learned and maybe more affirmed is some of the bigger suppliers are using warnings on their pack slips. There's some baggage that comes along with those warnings. Some of them are using the exact right warning, but the product that's on the pack slip has no need for a warning. That's kind of sad. Some of them are using an incorrect warning. The requirement for the warning is kind of specific in terms of being what they call safe harbor. In other words, Prop 65 gives us an example of a warning that is perfect. And if you use something different than that, that's fine, but it still needs to be clear and reasonable. And you don't want to get yourself caught up in having a warning that's not clear and reasonable. So that's one of those things that needs a little bit of judgment, not hard to make the judgment. And if anyone needs help with that, send me your pack slips, send me your examples. I actually am collecting now a specimen collection of Prop 65 warnings. Some of them are good. Some of them are just, did you even read the law or even try to get it right? I feel kind of bad for some people who maybe put an awful lot of time into this and maybe even hired someone to help them, and they end up with a warning that's not effective, but could in fact lead them to being the subject of an enforcement action when they otherwise would not have if they just left it alone.
Okay, I guess you kind of answered one of the questions then, which was going to be, is the industry doing this right? And it sounds like in some cases, yes, but generally people are still a little confused.
Well, and my role is to try to bring some clarity to the problem, and it can be clarified. It's not. It's one of the things I said on the webinar was, thank God we're the fastener industry and not the food industry or the shoe industry or the tool industry, because they have really gnarly problems to deal with. We have a relatively straightforward number of chemicals, metals, as it turns out, to deal with, and they're quite manageable. The interesting thing that I saw was that there's a strategy that some suppliers are using, and this generally takes place with the larger suppliers, where just warn everything, no matter, just put a warning slip on every pack slip or maybe every box or something like that. And there's a difference between whether you put the warning on the box or on the pack slip or some other mechanism, the website, for example, and that safe harbor, as it's called, safe harbor warning. In order for it to be effective, you've got to do it right. And I see issues where folks are using, for example, a warning on a website where that warning must be in a certain format and look a certain way, or in a catalog, and they're using the wrong warning. Now, the change to the law is what has everybody all of a sudden having this show up on their radar. But the fact of the matter is, there's really not that much difference between what we needed to do before the law and what we have to do after the law. We were just as vulnerable to being sued and having these 60-day notices show up before the end of August, which is when the new law takes effect, as after. We've had almost 2 years to come up to speed on this. I don't think the fastener industry was really ever that well informed on it in the first place. It wasn't on our radar. And then when this change came about, now what's happening is the fastener suppliers' customers are saying, tell us whether your stuff has Prop 65 chemicals in it or not. And now they're having to respond to that. And that's how they're discovering the need to deal with Prop 65 in terms of warnings. So it's not like anything is new. It's just all of a sudden we have an awareness that we didn't have before. I'm not saying there's nothing new. There certainly is new aspects to the law that are different than it was before, but the law before the change had plenty of stuff to make us vulnerable, and it really is not any big difference between what we should be doing now and what we should have been doing then.
Well, obviously, people's awareness and understanding and decisions based on that understanding are going to emerge from this conversation. It's ongoing. Where do people go for up-to-the-minute developments until the next time you come on the podcast?
Well, I don't know when you'll be listening to this, but I don't know when I'll come on the podcast anytime you want. I love talking to you, Eric. But we do have another webinar. It will be on the 28th of August, Tuesday the 28th at 11 o'clock. And whether you listen to this before or after that webinar will also be available as a recording. I would just encourage you to contact NFDA or PacWest if you're a member and get enrolled in that webinar. If you have a Prop 65 question, if you send it to them, they'll send it to me, but probably you should send it to me direct. You don't have to be a member of my research partnership to ask me a question or send me an email. I've answered hundreds of questions, and for the most part, what you end up with is an answer and an offer to join. You can do what you want with the offer. I'd hope you would join. The fact of the matter is some of the questions are not easily answerable. It's a strategy, and one of those strategies has to do with, is your product going to be in a place where it is likely to be exposed to somebody who it would be one of these enforcers? If none of your product shows up in a retail store, for example, or maybe a wholesale walk-in counter, if it's only used in an industrial application, I'm not saying that you're safe in that case, but the things that get us sued in terms of nuts and bolts and screws and widgets are when the enforcer walks into a store, buys a product, gets it tested, and finds out it's got lead or hexavalent chrome. Well, actually, we haven't had any hexavalent chrome enforcement actions at all. As a matter of fact, I hesitate to even say that because who knew, that our fastener had hexavalent chrome on them, on our zinc plating, and lots of them don't now, but some of them still do, and we should be getting away from that. But I don't think that's a target for the enforcement folks. Neither is cadmium plating. Neither is nickel and stainless steel. Nickel's on the list, and that's something that a lot of folks are freaking out over. You asked at the beginning of the broadcast about late-breaking news, and there was one thing that I forgot to say. There's a meeting of a group called DARTEC, which is a group of scientists whose job it is to determine whether or not a chemical would be on the Prop 65 list for causing reproductive harm. Now, nickel is already on the list for causing cancer, but it's not on the list for reproductive harm. And in October, these scientists are going to have a big meeting in Sacramento to try to figure out whether or not they should move nickel onto that list. And that could be a significantly interesting and important event. It's not often that chemicals get added to the list, and none have been added recently that affect fasteners very much or at all. So that is some kind of late breaking news as well that we'll be following.
Makes me wonder what they serve for lunch at an event like that.
Well, they're eating, so you can eat with the stainless steel cutlery, which will poison you with nickel, or you can eat with the plastic cutlery that will poison you with phthalates.
Yeah.
Or you can eat with your fingers, which have just touched a brass doorknob, which will poison you with lead.
I was thinking something along those lines, Carmen. Well, you're an industry consultant, and you'll be reappearing on today's podcast, this time I think talking about another pleasant topic, which is surface discontinuity. But we sure do appreciate you joining us all the way from the Carver Fax Center in San Diego, and thank you once again and always for doing what you do for the fastener industry.
Thanks for having me, Eric.
We'll be right back with more Fully Threaded Radio. Stick around.
Talk radio for the fastener industry. It's not really all that bad for the most part. Brian and Eric, Fully Threaded Radio.
BTM Manufacturing is a domestic ISO 9001 manufacturer of threaded fasteners and bent wire products. From anchor bolts to studs to U-bolts, BTM is committed to making your per-print special with the highest quality standards while meeting your on-time delivery schedule. Since BTM began in 1961, this family-owned business has remained focused on providing exceptional service to their customers. Centrally located in Kansas City, Missouri, BTM recently expanded into a 100,000 square foot facility, which allows for the production and manufacture of many projects simultaneously, both large and small quantity. BTM's website at btm-mfg.com allows you to submit custom quotes quickly and easily, and once you do, a BTM team member will contact you as soon as possible to discuss your needs. Are you ready to get started? BTM is. Visit www.btm-mfg.com today.
Harry, now that you use InSequel software, how do you like it?
InSequel has delivered. They truly are written for Fastener distributors. It's affordable and their support staff is great.
We found InSequel's support staff has depth. They know our industry, and they certainly know their software. I see they've helped you pronounce InSequel.
Yes, but what does InSequel mean? Is it written in SQL? Is the data stored in SQL? Are they located in SQL?
InSequel uses the industry standard Microsoft SQL database, which is why it's so powerful and easy to use.
Oh, the database is stored in SQL. I don't even know where that is. I hear it's a nice place.
Harry, InSequel uses a SQL database because it's current technology and your data is completely accessible. No more expensive custom reports.
Is that why InSequel is so easy to use? Where is SQL on the map?
One of their many support members will help you answer that. Go to their website, www.inxsql.com, or call toll-free 877-446-9775.
It's that time again. The largest event of the year in the fastener industry is almost here, the International Fastener Expo. The show will take place October 30th through November 1st at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas. For new and returning attendees alike, we're excited to announce new additions to the show this year. These include a brand new preview day, daily meetings, free educational sessions, and the highly anticipated award ceremony recognizing leaders in the fastener industry. The legendary welcome reception is bigger than ever and being held this year at the Daylight Pool at the Mandalay Bay Resort. If you haven't yet attended the Fastener Show, this is the year to make the trip. It's an exciting time in the fastener industry, and this year's event will be the largest yet. You simply can't afford to miss this year's show. The expo features over 800 suppliers from across the country and worldwide. The International Fastener Expo takes place October 30th through November 1st in Las Vegas. For full details and to register, go to www.fastenershows.com. See you at the show.
Hi, this is Alan Weitzman with JC Sales and Rivet. Visit us for all your rivet needs on www.rivetsonline.com. You are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric back with you on the summer that will never end Fun Fastener Festival.
I thought you were not going to talk about the weather, okay?
Well, it's more of a season than the weather, though, Bri. Seasons are okay.
Right. You didn't make that distinction before.
Well, hopefully now it's clear.
Okay.
But as the summer winds down, of course, the fastener industry is ramping up in anticipation of probably the biggest event of the year. We talk about it as the Super Bowl, really, of the fastener industry. And take a look at the cover of American Fastener Journal. You'll see it's adorned with a story about, of course, the International Fastener Expo. Here with us to speak on that is someone who's become kind of the face of Emerald Exhibitions for us. Of course, the operators of that show, and that's Morgan Wilson. He's joined with marketing manager Linh Vu. Hey, folks, welcome to Fully Threaded. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hi, good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Right on. Well, the show's coming up. We've got October 30th, 31st, and November 1st, Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, Nevada. Guys, I know you've been working hard ever since the last show really closed down on this one. And what can you tell us? What are the highlights that we should be looking for this year?
Yeah, we closed out a great show last year. I think, everyone seemed pretty excited to be back on the Strip and at Mandalay Bay. So I'm sure everyone knows that at this point. We're going to be at Mandalay Bay this year, and we should be for the next 2 years. We'll be in Hall's Bayside B&C, and we also are introducing an early preview day this year. So what that's going to be actually is just for the machinery section and our Source Global section. It's basically going to give a lot of our other exhibitors a chance to walk that area if they source or import, or if they're a manufacturer and they're looking for new tooling products or machinery.
Oh, okay. That's sort of cool.
Yeah, so that'll just be a half day from 1 to 4 p.m. on the first day, Tuesday, and then, of course, followed by the inaugural welcome reception that night.
So tell us all about that, okay? So is the pool at Mandalay Bay a pretty good pool?
It is. So we're going to be having our welcome reception at the daylight pool area, and the area itself is kind of secluded, and it's set up with a stage. So we're going to have a live DJ, and we're going to have live entertainment this year for a little bit when the guest actually comes in. We're thinking of having a type of drummers out there drumming for the excitement of coming in. We'll also have 2 hours open bar and light appetizers as we've done in the past. The time is between 6 o'clock to about 8 o'clock p.m.
Okay. Well, it's always a very, very looked forward to part of the show, actually, because that's when everyone sort of meets each other after a year of, being away trying to make some money.
It's the closest thing we have to Fastener prom night.
Yeah. What about the taste of cigar rollings and tastings and things?
Yeah, so we are going to have a cigar station again.
Cool.
Yeah, we have a great sponsor for that, B&D Cold-Headed Products. They did it last year and had a great time with it, so they're going to take that on again this year.
Yeah, Lynn will be very happy about that. She doesn't smoke, but she did pick up a cigar, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got over there a little too late last year, and I missed mine. So I'm going to have to make sure to get over there early this time.
Right.
Well, the next morning, that'll be Wednesday, the 31st. The doors will open, and you'll hear that telltale rumbling at the beginning. It'll be full of excitement. And what are some of the highlights for the first day, the first full day of International Fastener Expo this year you guys have lined up?
Well, we have a pretty full schedule lined up this year for on-the-floor live sessions. Some good engaging topics. One of the highlights for me, I thought, was the e-commerce panel. Couple companies that represent different types of softwares, and actually Mike Hockett has volunteered to be the moderator. Some of you might heard of him from Industrial Distribution. And we're going to kind of just go over the challenges, benefits, things that you should know as a distributor, and how to implement.
Okay. So how do we make sure then that you get more participation from in the audience? I mean, it seems to be that people get caught up in trying to run their booth and they don't realize there's all these other really cool things going on.
Yeah, we're going to try and have a speaker actually announce all of these sessions as each one starts. Okay. And then we always encourage everyone to go to the website and look at the full schedule, and we'll be promoting that online. We'll do some email blasts in addition to probably some tweets. So keep your eyes out for that, and try and plan on getting in on some of the good sessions we have this year.
How's that going to be laid out on the show floor this time, Morgan?
Yeah, so this year we actually have it pretty centrally located right in the middle of the floor between our kind of general fastener area and the Source Global area. So it will be very hard to miss. We have a main walk aisle kind of in the middle as well, and it's going to funnel everyone right towards that.
Okay, that's good.
Every time the venue changes, people are scrambling around trying to figure out where they sit in the pecking order, the different configurations we've had. I mean, for a while there, it seemed like everybody got in a pattern, but now it's all shaken up, so nobody really quite knows what to expect.
Sure.
Now, that's the same location where you're going to have your big award ceremony on at the end of the show on Wednesday, right?
Correct. Yeah, we're going to have the Hall of Fame and Young Fastener Professional Awards from 2:30 to 3:30. Again, we teamed up with FIC this year, and we're actually upping the inductees to 2 Hall of Fame nominees. If you haven't heard, we inducted Bob Sachs from XL Screw and Robbie Gilchrist from Capital Marketing.
Okay.
And our YFP inductees are Peggy and June from Brighton Best. So we're really excited to bring them on.
Cool. That's good.
So that ceremony will be happening near the close of the show on Wednesday, the first full day. Congratulations also, I think, to the FIC and to you, Emerald, for making a good decision expanding that a little bit this year. As you know, we were advocates of that from the early days. So I guess Wednesday night will be full of merriment, and we'll, I'm sure, hear about all the after parties and everything, and of course hear about it the next day, which will be Thursday, the 1st. What's happening then?
Sure, it's always exciting to hear about the big suites that get rented out and all the fun that everyone has after the show goes on.
And to see everyone the next morning. Yeah.
Or early afternoon, depending on what time you get to the show floor.
This is true.
Exactly.
So how's Thursday's going to shape up then?
Yeah, so Thursday morning we're going to have another full day, and we have some exciting topics again on the live sessions floor. Again, we're trying to kind of revamp this schedule, and we have some good engaging topics. One that caught my eye was introduction to 3D printing. I know we do. Yeah, we have some different some manufacturers now that are starting to implement that. I think for starting to just make samples, but I think it's definitely going to be something that is used more and more throughout the industry.
Yep, we agree, and so we look forward to a session on that, and hope lots of people attend. Actually.
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to touch on. We're working with YFP again this year, and working on putting together a speed networking event on the floor as well. So we'll keep you posted on details with that as we make them, but be prepared to look out for that and make some connections on the floor this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye open for that. Everybody, if you haven't attended one of those, make sure that you or some people on your team make it out there, because it's really a great way to meet a whole lot of people in a short amount of time, have a little fun too. Don't forget, if you're considering going out to the International Fastener Expo this year, again happening October 30th through November 1st, the website for all of this is www.fastenershows.com. We'll be there, of course. See the FCH Sourcing Network in booth 2858 this year. I'm not sure what kind of swag we're going to have, Bri, but it'll be pretty good, I'm sure.
Okay.
Now, there's still some promotional opportunities out there for some of our listeners. If you're operating a company and you want to splash your name across the Vegas Strip in that fastener kind of way, how could folks do that this time, Morgan?
Yeah, a great way to look at the different options we have available is through the website. You can go on fastenershows.com and click on the exhibitor tab and scroll down to advertising options. And we have several different opportunities available where you can get your name out with on-site signage. You can do pre-marketing info or emails, direct mailers, you name it. And we even have options to like I said, get your name out at the welcome reception if you thought that's a good fit for your company as well.
Good.
Now, Morgan, the show is extended a little bit on that second day, right, on Thursday. It used to end at 1 p.m., wasn't it? And now it goes till 4.
Correct. Yeah. So it's the same as last year. Yep. We added on a few hours there. The show has been growing, and, I have heard some concern with it, but, for the most part, it's been a positive review, and I think everyone kind of enjoys that time. We have a lot of exhibitors that take advantage of the few extra hours and pack in that schedule. And we're also going to be trying to implement some fun ideas to keep people on the floor. So I don't know if you noticed last year we had a little free happy hour in the machinery section, and that might be something we're implementing again this year, which I know the industry won't mind to have.
You're quite correct.
Yeah, you figured out this industry, I can tell.
Right.
You might want to get with Rich Cavoto and Bob Bear over there at the MWFA too, because they did some interesting things for their tabletop to keep people or attract folks to the show floor. You know, they had jugglers, fire eaters, and so forth. I don't know. Get with those guys, Morgan. Well, that's really cool. Okay, well, we're going to see you guys out there again, everybody. It's fastenershows.com for more info. Don't miss it. It is the Super Bowl of the industry.
Yeah.
Lynn and Morgan, we look forward to seeing you on the show floor. And before we do let you go, though, we're always looking down the road here at FTR, and you've made some announcements and future shows, haven't you, already?
Yeah, we have. So we've actually locked down the dates for 2019 and 20. And we're going to be actually moving it up a little bit. So we're going to be in September going forward. So we're going to be September 16th to the 18th on 2019 and September 28th to 30th on 2020. Oh. And that's Monday through Wednesday, actually, for the next two shows. So that'll be different as well.
Wow, that'll be interesting. Okay. I think I prefer the earlier time, actually.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it as well. October is such a busy month. There's so many shows going on, so I think it'd be good.
Well, you never please everybody. I'm sure some people like it, some people won't, but regardless, we'll be here to discuss it with you in due course. And just looking forward to getting this one under my belt, that's for sure.
Sure, so are we.
Good. Okay, we'll be happy to see you there, okay?
The title sponsor of Fully Threaded Radio is Stelfast. And, of course, the Fastener News Report is coming up in mere moments. That's brought to us today by Volt Industrial Plastics. If you see anybody walking around the show floor carrying a surfboard, by the way, everybody, it's probably Morgan. You're getting kind of a reputation as really like the California kid now of the industry.
Oh, geez, I'm not sure if that's good.
Well, we always have a tradition, or is it a habit? I don't know. But whenever we have a guest that's right before the news report, we always let them do the honors. Would you care to?
Sure. And now, with news about screws you can use, here's Mike McNulty.
So now you can head off down to the beach, okay?
Perfect.
Thanks, Morgan. This is Mike McNulty from Fastener Technology International Magazine, bringing you the Fastener News Report, which is sponsored by Volt Industrial Plastics, makers of the world's finest plastic fasteners. American football has returned to the field this month, and Bud Light is installing Victory fridges in several Cleveland bars, which will dispense free beer if and when the Browns finally win a regulation football game. But I am still focused on fasteners and ready to deliver today's Fastener News Report. In this episode, we are going to reveal the latest results of the Fastener Distributor Index, also known as the FDI. Also in today's broadcast, we have our top story on Nucor's venture into fastener coating and newsmaker headlines from KLX, Lejeune Bolt, Brighton Best, IFE, Semblix, and many more famous fastener names. On the back page report, we're going to talk about fighting unfair trade. We will get to all of that and the latest FDI results right after this.
Whether you need a small or large number of fasteners, there is no reason why you should have to sacrifice quality or service for that matter. Volt Industrial Plastics takes great care with each and every order to ensure you receive a quality fastener in a timely and affordable manner. Our state-of-the-art production equipment allows us to produce any quantity you request quickly and efficiently. And with same-day shipping on nearly 1 million in-stock fasteners, we carry an inventory so you don't have to. Visit us online at voltplastics.com to find out more about our quality American-made products. Volt Industrial Plastics, manufacturer of the finest plastic fasteners in the world.
BTM Manufacturing is a domestic ISO 9001 manufacturer of threaded fasteners and bent wire products. From anchor bolts to studs to U-bolts, BTM is committed to making your per print special with the highest quality standards while meeting your on-time delivery schedule. Since BTM began in 1961, this family-owned business has remained focused on providing exceptional service to their customers. Centrally located in Kansas City, Missouri, BTM recently expanded into a 100,000 square foot facility, which allows for the production and manufacture of many projects simultaneously, both large and small quantity. BTM's website at btm-mfg.com allows you to submit custom quotes quickly and easily, and once you do, a BTM team member will contact you as soon as possible to discuss your needs. Are you ready to get started? BTM is. Visit www.btm-mfg.com today.
I know my customers' yearly usage, but I don't have the warehouse space to store it.
Solution Man can. Submit a blanket order, and I'll not only set up release dates, I'll offer you bulk pricing too. Visit the Solution Industries website for details at solutionind.com.
You're my fastener superhero.
Just doing my job, ma'am.
Mike McNulty.
The seasonally adjusted FDI for July 2018 was a new world record of 69.2, up significantly from the previous month's also excellent result of 62.3. Fastener Distributor Index data is collected and analyzed by the FCH Sourcing Network, the National Fastener Distributors Association, and Baird. The FDI seeks to identify demand, pricing, and outlook trends within the American fastener distribution industry. To get some insight on these results, we talked to Dan Zehnder, CEO of Trinity Logistics and current NFDA Vice President. Hi, Dan. Thanks for joining us on the Fastener News Report.
Well, thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me today.
It's good to have you here. And you picked a good time to be on because these are the best FDI results ever. And what's your take on these record results?
Well, very impressive and consistent with everything that we're seeing in the industry, whether it be on heavy equipment or construction, even marine building and a variety of different sectors in the marketplace. It's a very good time to be in this industry, that's for sure. And the trend looks good. Looks like it's going to stay up for a while. There'll be a few challenges here and there, but that's to be expected, but looks good for an extended period of time, in my belief.
Yeah, it is definitely good, and we were expecting things might start to temper down a little bit. In the last episode, we were talking about that, but they didn't. They went the opposite way. But the forward-looking indicator that Baird puts together actually dipped slightly to 60.1 versus 62 last month. But the sales numbers shot up to 89, and delivery numbers went up. Employment and pricing stayed strong, but they dipped a little bit. The other thing that we saw here was the 6-month outlook, I think, is starting to cool off a little bit. We now had 21% of respondents expecting sales to be lower in the first quarter of 2019. What do you think about this? All these numbers jumbled together.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think that's probably correct. I think there's going to be some adjustments, certainly in some sectors. We follow a lot of steel, both sheet and plate, as well as wire for the fastener side of the business. But many of our customers use heavier materials, and as such, we're watching, what their weld schedules are, what their fab schedules are on major components like engines and transmissions and so forth. And what we're seeing is, I'll call it a leveling out, but it's not a big dip.
Right.
A lot of new models coming out, a lot of efficiencies coming from new equipment. So I think the first half of 19 might be maybe a little breather, but we're seeing some things pick up a little bit. The one segment that we do touch that does seem to have some downward trend to it a little bit is for equipment for housing, things that landscapers would use, some home builders and so forth. I don't know if that's just nervousness because of interest rates or midterm elections or what the case may be, but even there, it's still a very good numbers, and so we'll just keep watching it.
Yeah, in past experience, when you would say that's an indicator that housing's going to slow a little bit when hosing and landscaping stuff goes down.
Yes. That's when that comes down, we see certain light equipment sales go down, rentals go up, but sales go down.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is that going to last for a long period of time? I don't think we're going to see the historic record high interest rates on homes that we saw a couple of decades ago, but when they climb a little bit, investors
all spooked,
get nervous, yeah. So
I mean, it's still pretty cheap money, so
yes, it is.
Yeah. Let's see, on pricing, the pricing numbers are still pretty strong. They dipped a little bit, but they're still pretty strong. The last month it was a new record for pricing. They're still pretty high. Are you seeing that you're able to pass, increases with people increasing prices because of tariffs or worried about tariffs? Are you able to pass on price increases? What do you think about this touchy subject?
Well, at this point in time, where our inventory sits, we have not yet been hit with a lot of tariffed material.
Okay.
We'll see some, and we've already started those discussions with customers and people downstream in a very transparent way. And I think that has been very helpful in terms of taking out the panic. It's steel prices in general now at a 35-year high that have impacted the overall business. And, what am I going to do? And where we can, of course, we've had to reintroduce new pricing, but in some cases, there is legitimate pushback and reevaluation, delay of some model releases. But will that be driven because of the fasteners? No, it'll be driven because the major components that are used in those assemblies are steel themselves.
Yeah. So, it's, we've had steel prices going out. You mentioned, it's a 35-year high. How much of that can be attributed to just that the economy is going better, or all these sectors are doing better versus people worried about passing on tariffs? It's probably a combination of the two, I think.
I think it's a combination of things, a little opportunistic initiatives on the part of the steel mills, but there are some mills worldwide that have been taken offline, and certain countries are producing less steel. So
the laws of supply and demand still work, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, good. Before we move on to the comments, anything else on what you've seen in the report here? It's a pretty positive numbers, and things look pretty good going forward.
No, very positive. A lot of people I've talked to within the industry see that their outlook is bright, as specifically to each and every company or location. Their regional markets in general are looking pretty good. Opportunities are there. There's no doubt about it. And so, again, I think it's a good time to roll up your sleeves and work hard and look for opportunities and dig in.
Yeah. Good advice. On the comment side, I've got a couple here that we selected to talk about. One is we heard this quote about inventory. Quote, "We are noticing that master distributor inventories are somewhat lower and out of stock on some sizes. We're under the impressions that some larger fastener distributors are hoarding sizes of parts to avoid additional tariffs that are coming up. We've put in additional inventory on key customers to ensure that we will have product for them and also protect them until the end of the year." Does that sound legitimate?
It can be. My 35-year experience tells me that's often risky, and personally, I've lost more on that than I've won. Might
end up with too much.
Yeah, hoarding's not a plan I like to take. I think there are some delays in manufacturing, and lead times have pushed out, and ports are busy, and so I tend to think that that's more of the influence than anything on availability combined with heavy demand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would agree with you. I think the hoarding stuff and waiting for the big payoff, you might end up with too much inventory sitting around. Other comments, we've touched on this already a little bit, but I'll bring it up again. Some people are expecting a tariff-induced slowdown in the fourth quarter of 2018. Do you think this will happen, or do you think it's just a little bit over-worrying on people listening to too much rhetoric out of Washington?
I think it's more rhetoric and politics still going on. I think there's a lot of things that we don't know happening behind the scenes, and fasteners haven't been hit very hard across the board on tariffs. It's everything else related to that. But I just don't really believe that it's going to drive that much of the overall U.S. economy.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, and I hope that we're right, but it seems that there's a little bit of saber rattling and negotiations going on, and in the end, I think good things or cooler heads will prevail, and things will be okay. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mike. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I think cooler heads will prevail. I hope they do prevail, because the world needs a strong economy, and certainly needs a strong U.S. economy to help lead that. So let's see what happens, and use our best wisdom and things available to make decisions until that time comes.
Right, not overreact, which seems to be
right.
Something that affects every area of our life these days.
Absolutely.
Well, good. Well, the FDI is very strong right now. And in closing, I'd like to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on at Trinity Logistics as well as at the NFDA.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We've been very busy. We're expanding our business into our more wear parts. Now being part of the broader group, Agri Solutions Corp, we're focused on the ag and construction equipment industry, and again, where we see a lot of material, steel and so forth being used, and so that's where I monitor a lot of that activity. But the business looks very good. The outlook for the next 8 to 9 years is strong, and so we're going to continue on this direction. We're expanding in Canada and Mexico, and so it's making for a lot of free air miles that I pick up. No, I mean, but it's been very good, and continue to look forward to what comes. The NFDA, things are looking very good. We've got a great group. We've got a great board now. Kelly Cole, as the president, is a very strong leader. I'm glad to be working with Kelly and the rest of the team. We've got a lot of good things coming. We came off a great meeting in Costa Rica celebrating the anniversary. And frankly, we're looking forward to how do we build for the next 25 and 50 years so that we can be, not us, but maybe the next generation someday sitting at the 100th anniversary, who knows where.
Yeah, well,
But,
you never know. I saw lots
tuned.
of pictures from the Costa Rica event. It looked like it was fun and well attended. And Kelly was on the talking on the Fastener News Report in the last month, and he had good things to say too about business and the NFDA. So everything's looking good in the fastener industry.
It is right now a good time to be part of the industry for sure.
Very good. Well, thanks, Dan, for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you down the road. And good luck at Trinity Logistics and the NFDA.
Mike, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, and have a good day.
That was Dan Zehnder, CEO of Trinity Logistics and current NFDA Vice President. The FDI number for July was 69.2 versus 62.3 in June. Visit FDIsurvey.com to participate in the process and get a detailed PDF copy of Baird's monthly analysis. Now for today's top story. Nucor is teaming up with Trion Coatings and the University of Notre Dame to develop plating technology for fasteners. As part of the deal, Nucor purchased a minority equity position in Trion Coatings, which has developed environmentally friendly chrome plating technology. Part of the investment, Nucor will help Trion commercialize the technology, and it will build a pilot facility at Nucor Fastener in St. Joe, Indiana. Nucor also holds the exclusive worldwide license agreement for the new technology. Trion Coatings was incubated at the University of Notre Dame's Idea Center with the goal of developing an environmentally friendly alternative to traditional chrome plating process. The patent-pending process provides higher process rates, better wear resistance, and an excellent health and safety profile. Next up, today's Fastener Newsmaker headlines. In acquisition, expansion, and investment news, KLX Incorporated is acquiring the assets of John Hassal's laboratory operations. Lejeune Bolt Company announced an exclusive partnership with Boulons Plus to become an authorized distributor of the TNA torque and angle fastening system. And MW Industries has acquired Ameriflex Incorporated. In personnel news, Ernest Machine has named Diana Barnes and Jim Dowling to the sales team, Jared Kuipert to the purchasing team, Landon Patton to an internship program. The JIS division of Juergens has added Nick Pisetsky, Jackie McCarthy, and Chris Kozlowski to its staff. ClickBond reports that John Elverum has joined the company as Director of Research and Development, and Beiruz Code Nagal was promoted to Director Manufacturing and Process Engineering. And Brighton Best International announced that Arthur Bernardin is its new Proford U.S. Anchor Business Development Manager. In milestones and awards, the International Fastener Expo, also known as IFE, and the Fastener Industry Coalition, also known as FIC, announced that the 2018 Hall of Fame Award winners are Bob Sachs of XL Screw Corporation and Robbie Gilchrist of Capital Marketing. IFE and FIC also announced its Young Fastener Professional of the Year Award winners as Peggy Shea and June Zhu of Brighton Best International. Semblex Corporation is commemorating its 50th anniversary this year. Certified Alloy Products has been awarded the UTC Suppliers Gold status. The Beck Lingo Lock Collated Wood Nail System has won a 2018 Green Product Award. The Gilchrist Foundation has awarded scholarships to Martha Crow, sponsored by Worth Revcar, Madeline Bartish, sponsored by XL Screw, Michael Burns, sponsored by Worth Adams, and Rachel Edge, sponsored by Ameribolt. And finally, Brighton Best International was awarded the 2018 Growth Champion Industrial Trade and Tool Award, as well as the DPA Supplier Excellence Award. You can get details on all of these stories and more in Fastener Technology International Magazine and the Fastener News Report newsletter, both which are available at fastenertech.com. Finally, let's turn to the back page to talk about fighting unfair trade. Regular listeners of the Fastener News Report can confirm that I am prone to complaining about wasteful and dangerous government spending and actions, but in this episode I'm going to talk about an example of a government agency doing something good, helping a domestic company in its fight against unfair trade. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency, also known as the CBP, has posted an interesting case study article on the plight of one-wire hanger makers' efforts to fight not only for fair trade, but for its existence. The article tells the story of M&B Hangers in Alabama and its domestic manufacturing survival saga. M&B first petitioned the U.S. government for help in 2007 to get relief from unfairly priced wire hangers being dumped into the USA market by Chinese manufacturers. M&B won that case and a similar one against wire hanger dumpers based in Taiwan and Vietnam. A little while later, M&B's adversaries changed their tactics by shipping Chinese-made products from dummy companies in Thailand and Malaysia to avoid the payment of anti-dumping duties. This evasion scheme was a new challenge that was not being met by existing trade enforcement legislation. M&B put together a coalition of steel wire product manufacturers, including some fastener makers, to propose new legislation with stronger enforcement, greater transparency, stricter timelines, and increased affordability. After many years of lobbying and an expansion of the coalition into other industries, the U.S. government passed new legislation for the CBP to use called the Enforce and Protect Act, also known as EAPA. In 2016, M&P resubmitted its Thailand case, and the Customs and Border Patrol investigators found that the Thailand hangers were actually being made in China, and by the end of the year, there were no more hangers coming into the USA from Thailand. In 2017, M&P filed EAPA allegations on 8 hanger suppliers from Malaysia, and CBP's investigators couldn't find any wire hanger factories in Malaysia. So the good news is for M&B is that it had a 25% increase in sales last year, and it is still making hanger products in the United States. This case stands out as a nice example of perseverance and good law enforcement, as well as a warning of how far unscrupulous companies will go to get market share. You can read the whole story at www.cbp.gov/frontline/hanging-tough. It also contains some attractive M&B pictures showing American workers making, packaging, and shipping wire hangers. This has been Mike McNulty of Fastener Technology International bringing you the Fastener News Report. Please send your news, pictures, comments, corrections, or complaints to me at mcnulty@fastenertech.com.
Prepare to get nobular. Mike O'Connor with Innovative Components joins us next. Thanks for listening, everyone. It's Fully Threaded. ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries. Innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
It's that time again. The largest event of the year in the fastener industry is almost here. The International Fastener Expo. The show will take place October 30th through November 1st at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas. For new and returning attendees alike, we're excited to announce new additions to the show this year. These include a brand new preview day, daily meetings, free educational sessions, and the highly anticipated award ceremony recognizing leaders in the fastener industry. The legendary welcome reception is bigger than ever and being held this year at the Daylight Pool at the Mandalay Bay Resort. If you haven't yet attended the Fastener Show, this is the year to make the trip. It's an exciting time in the fastener industry, and this year's event will be the largest yet. You simply can't afford to miss this year's show. The Expo features over 800 suppliers from across the country and worldwide. The International Fastener Expo takes place October 30th through November 1st in Las Vegas. For full details and to register, go to www.fastenershows.com. See you at the show.
Parker Fasteners is your premier cold heading manufacturer, forging the future with precision and quality as our top priority. When you think of domestically produced sockets and tamper-proof screws from alloy and stainless, including A286, think Parker Fasteners. Our lockout line of security fasteners feature high torque, oval center pin design, and unique lobes that provide one-of-a-kind security for your customers. Our in-house 3D printing capability makes the prototyping process fast and affordable, and we're ready to produce your large or small run orders with highly competitive pricing and unbeatable lead times. So, forge the future with Parker Fasteners. Visit Parker Fasteners online today at parkerfasteners.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and the Carver Fact Center here in beautiful San Diego. Today's topic has to do with a very interesting problem that we find in fasteners. It doesn't occur very often, but when it does occur, it throws lots of folks for a loop. And that's called surface discontinuities, otherwise known as cracks, marks, things on the surface of the fastener that look like they don't belong there. And when we get those, usually the customer complains and they're unhappy and we have to do something about it. So how do we deal with surface discontinuities? Today we're going to talk about surface discontinuities on nuts. In a previous episode, we talked about surface discontinuities on bolts. So when we return, I'll tell you how to analyze, deal with, and make your customer satisfied whenever they see these things called surface discontinuities on nuts.
Thanks, Carmen. This is Joe Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. I am excited to share some fastener training news with you. FTI is pleased to announce that we have opened Fastener Learning Now. That's our online learning library. We understand that finding time to fit training into your schedule can be tough. Everyone's busy and business appears to be steady and strong, but that doesn't mean that investing in your professional education shouldn't still be a priority. Learn at your own pace with the Fastener Training Institute's on-demand training sessions. We have over 27 90-minute training videos ready to view on topics that include hydrogen embrittlement, fastener basics, understanding metrics, socket products, structural bolting, plus many, many more. Each training session comes with course material you can download and keep, plus a quiz to test your knowledge. Visit our website at www.fastenertraining.org to read about each of our training videos and sign up today. Now don't fret. Although we now have a full library of content-rich videos at your fingertips, we continue to also host our monthly live webinars. On Friday, September 21st, Lawrence Klaus will be instructing Fastening into Plastics, sponsored by Semblex. Plastics have become a common part of everyone's lives, especially thermoplastics, which behave differently than many other materials. In this webinar, students will explore the basics of thread forming screws with plastics, understand what constitutes best practice for plastic design, and why some screw designs are better suited for plastic applications than others. Lastly, I want to remind you that once again, the Fastener Training Institute is teaming up with Eric Dudas and his team at the Fastener Clearinghouse Sourcing Network to offer a full scholarship to our acclaimed Fastener Training Week. To qualify for selection, candidates must work within the fastener industry and submit a brief essay addressing the importance of training and the importance of training on their career. The deadline to submit your essay is September 30th, and the winner will be announced in Vegas during the Fastener Show. For more information about the scholarship, please visit www.fastenersclearinghouse.com or send me an email at jom@fastenertraining.com. Now, back to Carmen for our Fastener Training Minute.
Welcome back, everybody. And today we're going to talk about surface discontinuities on nuts. I had two cases recently where a client sent me a sample of a large hex nut, and one of them had a crack on it and the other one had a weird looking line. In both cases, the customers complained about these. One was a silicon bronze nut. That one had the crack. And the other one was just a common grade 2 large hex nut with a weird looking line on the bearing surface. Well, it turns out that, interestingly enough, fasteners are allowed to have a fair amount of this thing called surface discontinuities and still be acceptable according to the standard. If you're in the inch world, there are two standards for surface discontinuities that we would use. One is F788. That's for bolts and screws. But when it comes to nuts, we would use ASTM F812. ASTM F812 is a very illustrative standard. It has lots of pictures of nuts and lots of pictures of nuts with weird looking lines and cracks and these things called surface discontinuities on them. So we would take a look at our particular fastener and we would say, what kind of a line is this? Is it a crack? Is it a fold? Is it a seam? Is it a lap? What's going on? How did it get there? In some cases, we're allowed to have a surface discontinuity and some we are not. One particular surface discontinuity that we're not allowed to have is a thing called a quench crack, and that typically is only going to apply to heat-treated products. So if it's not a heat-treated nut, it's not going to have a quench crack, and that looks like a crack when you look at it. So any kind of quench crack is not allowed. Other types of surface discontinuity, such as a forging mark or a fold or a lap or a seam, are allowed. And you would be surprised at the level of surface discontinuities that are allowed. They can be pretty ugly and gnarly and actually look like they might make the part not work, and they're still acceptable. Now, regardless of whether or not the specification finds the product acceptable, the customer is still going to have to be willing to keep it. In many cases, the customer simply needs to be motivated to keep the part in play because they need to keep it in play. But as a supplier, you need to show them by the standard why it is okay and there's nothing wrong with that part. And hopefully everyone is happy ever after with that. If you want to look at what this looks like and you happen to have your IFI 9th edition inch fastener standards book, you can look at ASTM F812 and see this illustrated. If you happen to live more in the metric world, you can use ISO 6157-2 for surface discontinuities for nuts, and it looks pretty much the same exact way that ASTM F812 does. So the standards are remarkably similar. So two things to remember. One is surface discontinuities in nuts are not always unacceptable. In many cases, actually most cases, the standard allows them. And secondly, it doesn't matter what the standard says. If it looks ugly and the customer doesn't like it, you're going to take it back unless they're motivated to keep it in play because they have no choice. And then you can show them how they can do that by referencing the standard. Well, that was today's Fastener Training Minute. This is Carmen Vertullo from the Fastener Training Institute. Thank you for listening.
This is Kevin Chavis with Star Stainless Screw, and you are listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Brian and Eric, back with you. I don't know why you guys all clicked in. Brian and I didn't really have much better to do, so thank you for being here, everyone.
Thanks. All right.
Well, if you're like most people, when you saw the summer issue of Link magazine come out, you flipped immediately to page 30, where Carmen Vertullo had his latest article on hydrogen embrittlement.
You did anyway. All right.
Get out there and check that out, everyone. But also, when you're done reading that, go back to the cover and take a look, because there you'll discover that Schaumburg-based Innovative Components is 25 years in business. Here to talk about that is Mike O'Connor. He's the president and founder of Innovative Components. Mike, thanks for joining us on Fully Threaded.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a pleasure to be with you.
It's our pleasure.
Congratulations on this milestone. I mean, a lot of companies don't make it this far, and you've done a great job, I think, of summarizing your business here, and we're going to dig right into that.
That sounds great.
So tell us what your business is then. Tell us all about Innovative Components.
Well, Innovative Components is primarily a manufacturer of quick-release hardware, mostly plastic knobs and handles, but we also do quite a bit of CNC machined spring-loaded devices, things like pop pins and plunger pins. We have a line of spring-loaded detent pins as well. And a lot of these came about because they have plastic knobs on the end of them. So we began manufacturing the entire components. And then we have one other product line that many people in our industry have probably seen but don't know that we're the manufacturers, and that's the Thread Detective thread identifiers. And that's a series of basically male and female thread gauges that are attached on a wire, and there would be metric and inch sizes. And so if you had a screw or a nut and you didn't know what it was, you would be able to use our product to identify that.
You know, I never really thought about it, but the fastener industry truly is a bastion of biologically determined gender, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, I guess so. There's a whole lot of bad jokes that tend to come from all of that.
Yeah, I don't know why I just thought of that.
Every year in Vegas, we hear those in the bar, right?
Yeah. So next time you're in the gym and you're changing the weights on one of the machines, that thing you're pulling out and putting onto a different weight is one of the things that you make then?
That's correct. Yeah, we make those. As far as we know, we're the largest manufacturer of those in North America. And so we tend to supply the equipment that's also made in North America. That's going to be the higher end gym grade, club grade equipment. And we're the guys that came up with the idea of putting the magnet in the face.
Oh, I love that idea.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So it was a spring-loaded ball.
Yeah.
And one of the manufacturers came to us and said, we have a liability issue because eventually the spring breaks, the ball falls out, and the pin can become dislodged and someone could be injured. And so I said, well, what are the weights made of? He told us they were steel, they're magnetic. So well, how about if we just put a magnet into the face of the knob, and now you don't have any moving parts? And that's kind of taken off to where we not only have the fitness industry line of those. Now, if you were to buy a commercial lawnmower, a lawn tractor, they have replaced the pin that is used to adjust the height of the cut to a magnetic pin. And most of the major manufacturers have switched to our pin for that as well. So it's a real interesting niche that just came about because a customer mentioned a problem, and we found a good way to fix it for them.
Wow, well that is good because some of the newer equipment in our gym actually has these magnetic pins, and it's a great idea.
Thank you. Yeah. Now you would also in the gym find our products on, let's say, a stationary bicycle. If you wanted to adjust the seat height, you'd reach under there and there's a knob you pull out. You pull the seat up and you release it, and it finds a hole. It's a tube within a tube. That's a common application as well.
It was several years ago that we visited your facility in Schaumburg, Illinois, through a meeting with the MWFA, and it was amazing all the different products that you had on display there and all their different applications. Getting back to the idea of the lawnmower, listeners who get to that Link Magazine article that I mentioned a few moments ago will read that you actually got the idea to start this whole company while you were mowing the lawn one day. It's a pretty good story.
It's true that I was out cutting the yard one day and I lost the knob and ruined the knob and the lawnmower, and said, why don't we make knobs that don't vibrate loose off of lawnmowers? And that's what started everything.
Okay.
That's determination, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was familiar with vibration-resistant fasteners because I was in the fastener industry already. And it was just a matter of putting two already pre-existing things together in a more logical solution. That's all it was. That's what started everything.
Okay, so you answered a question that I had was how did you make that turn? Because this is definitely a niche. And I have to say, and there's no offense intended on this, but you have the kind of quote-unquote fasteners that Brian just hates. Because with FCH, they don't fit neatly into categories. People have a hard time finding them and describing them.
That's true,
right?
Actually. Yeah, these various pins. and different people call them by different names, and it's really hard to try and work out what really it is. So actually I used your site to try and work out how to categorize some of these things, call these pot pins and things like that.
Well, I'm flattered by that, and we'd be happy to have you just calibrate everything to how we talk about them instead of our competitors. So that would be perfect if our terminology became the industry standard, because people, I'll give you an example. The exact same knob, some people will call a star knob, some will call it a fluted knob, some will call it a flowerette. And so when customers call in, it's very difficult to determine exactly what they're looking for. And we have to just take them to our website and let them start looking at pictures.
Yeah.
Just because there's no standardization in what we do.
Right, or in any rest of the industry, you could say, actually. Okay.
That's right. One difference between us, we're what's called a proprietary molder. I mean, we make things to our own design. If you're talking about a hex nut is the same no matter who you're getting it from. In fact, it's per a standard, the IFI standard. But if you want a plastic knob, everybody's is going to look a little bit different. And we've all done that really so we could individualize our product lines and help create some competitive advantage.
Yep.
But it makes it more difficult if somebody comes to you and says, well, I'm using this other guy's knob. Do you have exactly the same thing? Odds are the answer is going to be no.
Yeah.
Because we've all built ours the way we think they look the best. So there's kind of there's a decorative aspect to our product line as well as a functional one.
Right. Okay. So do you do the molding yourself then? in your premise in Schaumburg?
We do. So we have two factories. We have the one here in Schaumburg, which is our headquarters, and then we have another factory in Cartago, Costa Rica. And we're pretty vertically integrated. We don't make the fasteners that go in them. Those are mostly standard hex tap bolts, cap screws, flange nuts, things like that.
Yeah.
We build our own molds, so we have a complete mold making facility. I've got 12 machinists in Costa Rica that build molds from hunks of steel and do all that work. We do all of our own injection molding in both factories. We do quite a bit of CNC machining as well. If you'll look at some of our quick release hardware, those are machined parts, and then we do the assembly of those. We do not make springs, so we purchase the springs.
Right.
But we make most of the parts, and then we do the assembly ourselves.
So what made you choose Costa Rica? Say instead of China or Mexico or any other place. It's sort of an unusual choice. I'm sure it's a very good choice, but it's not the first place that you'd think of to set up a secondary company.
Yeah, you're right. That's a question I have gotten often. And at first, it comes from the realization that we needed a factory in a low-cost country. If you come to our factory, you'll see that a human being touches virtually every product that we sell. So we have a high labor content to our product.
Okay.
It's not like cold-headed fasteners where you look and it's a fully automated machine just pumping out a bunch of them. We have a high labor content, and I thought that made us vulnerable to Asian competition. And so I wanted to get ahead of that. I didn't want some Asian company China knob company to get established in the United States. And so I began searching for low-cost countries, low labor cost countries. And like everybody, we looked at all the usual suspects. First we looked at the southeastern United States just to see, could we go, for instance, to Arkansas and cut our labor costs? Because let's face it, guys, we're in Cook County, Illinois. It's not exactly the cheapest place to manufacture.
No.
No, but yet, we persevere, and here we are being successful here in Cook County. But
congratulations on that.
As you know, it can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of bureaucratic induced overhead there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. But we made a decision that we weren't going to make a change unless we could be worldwide competitive. There was no use only being able to beat some of your competition. We wanted to beat all the competition. So we looked first in the United States. We weren't able to accomplish our goal. We looked at the usual suspects of India, China, and Mexico, and each for different reasons were discounted. India for quality issues and logistics issues. China because of the necessity to share your proprietary information with them and to have a local partner. Yep. There was no way I was going to find some Chinese citizen that was going to teach them how to make knobs and all of my secrets. Just
and give them the molds.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen because that was just going to accelerate the pace at which Chinese companies would copy all of my products. So we did not do that. Plus, the lead time from China, as everyone knows, is 4 or 5 months. That wasn't accomplishing anything. We did look really hard at Mexico. And at the time, so that was 12 years ago, and here in Chicago, we have a lot of Mexican Americans in the workforce. Many of my employees are Mexican Americans. And I'll have to be honest with you, because of the poor security issues, nobody was willing to return to Mexico to help me set up a factory. None of my employees wanted to move to Juarez and have a factory. So because it was not safe, we decided not to do that. And I ended up in Costa Rica almost by accident. I was playing golf with a neighbor, and we often would talk about business while golfing. I described my problem and my frustrations, and he said, "Have you thought about Costa Rica?" I'm going to be honest with you. Like many Americans, I'm not very worldly. I thought Costa Rica was Puerto Rico, and I needed to be educated. So he said, no. Get on an airplane and go down there, and I did. I went down, and in Costa Rica, I found a country that not only is it beautiful, but it had a two-party democracy for over 100 years, great security, high quality and free education. So many, many young people who were educated, especially engineers. Most of those young people speak English. They're on the Chicago time zone, so I wouldn't have to get up at 2 a.m. to have my business conversations. When we talk about logistics, it's only 2 days the boat travels from the port. It's about an hour and a half from my factory to Miami. So we have very good lead times. Our lead times from Costa Rica are 6 to 8 weeks, which is comparable with my competitors' domestic lead times. And of course, the key reason was we needed lower labor rates, and we found that the labor rates in Costa Rica were roughly equivalent to the labor rates in coastal areas of China.
Geez, Mike, I think you should be expecting a call from the Costa Rican Chamber of Commerce pretty soon.
Well, here's the interesting thing. There's no room left in Costa Rica. It's a tiny place, and all the biomed companies have chased down there in the last decade or so. And there's very little space left for people to establish new factories. And that's kind of good for us because their universities continue to crank out engineers, but there aren't enough manufacturing jobs to employ them all. So there are a lot of highly qualified and competitively priced engineers available to us, and our jobs are the kinds of jobs they want. If they can't get a job in manufacturing, they end up working in a call center because they have good English skills. But they went to school to be engineers. They want to do design work. And so since we started the factory in Costa Rica, we've transformed much more into an engineering-based solutions company, whereas before I think we were more of a Me Too, low-cost kind of a company.
So Innovative Components is 25 years now, and for what portion of that time have you had this operation in Costa Rica?
For 12 and a half of those years, so just about half the time.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, actually, I noticed when I went down to the NFDA thing in Costa Rica that the people, even who were the guides, the tourist guides, they had to go back to university to get a certification. Otherwise, they weren't allowed to be guides. And they knew a lot about the history of their own country and whatever they were specialized in, giving people tours about. It could be the rainforest, it could have been butterflies or birds or something. But they were really interesting. They were really qualified. I was really amazed. I hadn't thought of that, actually.
Yeah, they're great people. We have found that, of course, they've made our company younger, and that's one of the things that manufacturing companies worry about in North America is the aging workforce. It's given us ready access to an energetic, well-educated young workforce that's quite technical. And it has really allowed us to become more focused on specialized solutions for our customers. And I think that's been critical to our success.
We want to talk to you about your intern and your apprenticeship program that's outlined here in the magazine article as well. Before we get to that, I want to ask you about the recycling of plastic in your products, because you do mention that quite a bit. I think a lot of people are under the impression that these days, at least, that recycling isn't all it's cracked up to be, and why bother? But I'm going to ask you, because I'm very uneducated on that topic. Does it make sense for us to put our milk cartons into the recycling bin every week?
Absolutely. I think it's our duty to do that if we want our world to be worth living in for our kids and our grandkids. Really, plastic recycling is a very well-developed industry. And from the very first knob I made 25 years ago was made from recycled plastic. In fact, we have that knob in a plaque up on a wall here in our headquarters. And, of course, there are some cost benefits to it. But I think also it's just part of our duty as citizens here to take care of this world. And it is possible for most of our knobs are made from recycled battery housings from automobiles. And what they do is they recover these, and then they grind them up into little bits, and they remelt them, and they add chemicals back into them, fairy dust, we'll call it, that brings them back up to the original mechanical specifications of the virgin material. So for our purposes, it's every bit as good as if we used virgin material. And at this point, it varies from year to year, but we're probably over 80% recycled content in our products.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yes. As long as you want black knobs and handles, we're great. Yeah. If you start wanting colors, then we have to use virgin material because of that. But we've always been devoted to that. It's important to us, and when we can, we use recycled content anytime. And it does give a price reduction to our customers, and they like it for that as well.
So you're saying that the recycled material is less expensive than the virgin?
Yes, it's probably in the neighborhood of 50% as expensive. So you save about half the cost on the plastic.
Oh, it's one of those rare stories. Usually you hear these recycling stories are kind of disastrous in terms of overall price, but I guess some things aren't too good to be true.
Yeah. In our industry, it's very well established. We have multiple factories, multiple suppliers that we have certified so that we're sure that we have a continuous supply of high-quality recycled plastic.
Buy a knob, save the planet. Who would have thought?
There you go.
So make sure you take your batteries back to the AutoZone or whoever it is when you buy one.
Absolutely. Please recycle. It's good for all of us.
So then turning the page now to those aforementioned education programs that you have, I guess you're seeing, like so many other domestic manufacturers, this problem of manning the machines, and your solution is to train in-house. How's that work, and how does it go for you?
You're exactly right. I think almost all of my peers in North American manufacturing complain that there's a skills gap, that we have more jobs available than there are skilled people to take those jobs. And particularly, we see a dramatic aging of the skilled workforce. I know that's true in other fastener-related industries. If you go around, you see a lot of guys in their 60s who are setting machines up, building tooling, and so forth. And it's no different for us. We actually got involved in internship and apprentice programs through our Costa Rican factory. There, when we first came down there, we really wanted to be seen as good neighbors. There has been a problem with American companies coming down and, I would say, taking advantage of the Costa Rican workforce and not treating them particularly well. And we didn't want to be one of those. So we immediately reached out to the community, and one of the connections we made was with the local high school. And education's a bit different in Costa Rica. In Costa Rica, the education, by the way, is free all the way through the PhD level, provided you're a good enough student to continue to qualify. So what they do when you're about our equivalent of 8th grade, you'll take an aptitude test. And depending upon your scores, you might get admitted to a specialty high school. So there's a high school for the arts, a high school for music. But interestingly enough, there is a high school specifically for manufacturing where you can learn how to be a machinist or learn about stamping and so on and so forth. It just so happens that that high school happens to be about 15 minutes from our factory. So we established a relationship with them where they would send us 15, 16-year-olds to apprentice with us or to intern with us to gain real-life skills. And we were having good success that many of those students, when they graduated at 18, would come back to us and apply for jobs because they'd had a good experience with us. So that just opened our eyes to, hey, there's lots of great young people that can be responsible and do good work. And I'm not so sure in the United States that we're open enough to that idea. We're so used to taking our children and we send them off to a 4-year college, right? And everybody tells you, well, if your kid's going to be successful, they need to get a college degree. And what do they do for those 4 years, guys? They behave like children for 4 years. They drink too much. They have bad habits. They sometimes squander their opportunities to gain an education, and they don't necessarily behave like adults. Well, we learned from our good experience in Costa Rica it doesn't have to be that way, so we began to reach out to our local high schools. And in the beginning, we just were giving talks about careers in manufacturing. All that we wanted to do is to get kids interested in working in manufacturing. And from that, people began to ask, do you have opportunities for us to work in the summer? That turned into our internship program, which is for kids that are going to be high school seniors. So between their junior and senior year, they'd come and they'd work for us in the summer, getting a general idea of how manufacturing works.
But are these young people generally coming to your Chicago facility, or are they staying down in Costa Rica?
No, we have a program in Costa Rica, but we started one 5 years ago in Chicago. And so these are all students that are in what, in our generation, we called them shop classes, and now they're called manufacturing or pre-engineering classes. So they're coming to us with rudimentary skills in running a lathe or programming a CNC, and they'll spend a little bit of time with us in the summer between their junior and senior year. But what we're really interested in is interesting them in our apprentice program. Now that's the real prize. Our apprentice program includes a full scholarship to our local junior college where you'll get an associate's degree in manufacturing technology. That means they're going to train you in quality control, in CAD drawing and design. They will train you in CNC programming and manual machining. So when you come out of that degree, you've got some real skills. And the way it works is that we sponsor a student. They're working for us part-time, usually about 20 hours a week while they're going to school. What we're trying to do in their on-the-job experience is mimic what they're learning in the classroom. So if you're taking class in quality control, you're going to be in our quality control department while you're in that class, because we found that by reinforcing schoolroom, classroom learning, if we reinforce it with real-life experience, the students really understand it.
Sure. Well, it makes 100% sense. Now, let me ask you this. What kind of success have you had in retaining the people that you brought in initially through the program, interning, and then up through apprenticeship? Do they become long-term employees of Innovative Components?
Well, we've only been doing it for 5 years. So far, our success rate is about 80%.
It's pretty good.
And pretty good. The graduates come out of there after 2 years, and they are a supervisor with us. That's a little different from most manufacturing apprenticeships. In most manufacturing apprenticeships, you're being trained probably to run one specific machine when you graduate, and then it might take a long time to catch someone's eye before you're supervising your own team. But so far, we've been able to give these students an opportunity to be supervisors. You know, maybe they might supervise a team of 4 or 5, but they're supervisors and they get an opportunity right away to be a coach.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons we've had success, of course, the way we match your on-the-job training with what you're studying at that moment, I think that helps. The other thing is that the summer between year 1 and year 2 of college, we do send them down to Costa Rica, so they get a study abroad experience. And what we do with them there is we put them in their own apartment. They're responsible for their own cooking, their own laundry, their own grocery shopping, getting to work on time, and generally behaving like an adult. And these are typically 19-year-old boys. Now compare that to your expectation of a 19-year-old boy, let's say a freshman in college. I don't think they always conduct themselves as adults. We have very high expectations for these students so that when they are finished with their degree, they are ready to be full functioning members in our company. And I think it helps them grow up to live on their own for a summer.
Wow, I think a trip down to Costa Rica to for a few months would be a terrific inducement to someone, actually.
Yeah, well, it certainly helps us get kids, high school kids, interested. And for the most part, we're recruiting bilingual kids. And when they come back from Costa Rica after being immersed in that Spanish-speaking environment, their Spanish is outstanding. So they usually go down there speaking kind of a Spanglish, because they've grown up speaking some Spanish in the house, but mostly English in the classroom and their other encounters outside the home. But when they go down to Costa Rica, they're speaking with master's degreed engineers in a very formal type of a Spanish, and getting all the technical language. And when they come back home, we've even had several of our students tell us, our apprentices tell us, that their mom didn't even understand what language they were speaking when they came back home. So,
actually, what I noticed is that the Spanish spoken in Costa Rica is a more formal South American Spanish. It's much closer to what the South Americans would call Castilian, not what we understand as Mexican Spanish. It's a very formal way of doing everything, including simple things like even telling the time. It's totally different in Mexico versus the rest of South America.
Brian, you're exactly right. The Costa Rican Spanish would be much more formal, whereas Mexican Spanish, I understand, is a more slang-based kind of a Spanish. So such that our Mexican employees can't always carry on a conversation with the Costa Ricans unless they slow down and try to make a point of using the more formal words. But when you're talking, now we do business from the top of Canada all the way, down through Colombia. When you're talking to an engineer in Colombia, you need to be able to speak like a professional. And it's important for us to give these young people that kind of an experience so that they have the confidence that they can pick up the phone and talk to an engineer in Colombia or Panama. And when they come back, when these 19-year-olds come back at the end of that summer, they're grown men. They are adults. And that is exactly what we need, because we need them to become leaders within our company. At 20-year-olds, we need 20-year-olds supervising 40-year-olds here. That's how our apprenticeship program works.
Well, you're obviously doing a lot of good there, and you're doing something where you have a crop, it sounds like, of pretty motivated individuals. I mean, they want to get ahead. They want to do well, so that it helps to have raw material that you can work with. I don't believe that you mentioned it before, Mike. What percentage of your manufacturing happens down in Costa Rica versus in Chicago?
Well, so first we have, if we have a mold in Schaumburg or in Chicago, we have a duplicate in Costa Rica. So we're manufacturing the same products in both places. And it's not unusual at all for us to blend an order. Let's say you give me an order for 100,000 knobs, but you need the first 20,000 right away. We might make 20,000 in the United States and then 80,000 come up from Costa Rica later. So it will change depending upon each customer, might have a different experience. But in general, we make about 40% of what we sell in the United States, and about 60% is now coming from Costa Rica.
Okay. Listeners can get out and learn more about innovative components and also check out all of these things, I'll say, that you manufacture, Mike, visually, which is probably the only way that I would understand most of your nomenclature, but that is at the website www.knobsource.com. Now, it's been years since Brian and I visited your facility. Again, that was through the Midwest Fastener Association. Glenn Bryn, your guy, is very active in MWFA. We see him at all the functions. And we noticed that one of the offices there, I don't know if that was the executive suite that we were walking by, but there were quite a few mounted fish on the wall. Of course, that got our attention. Who's the fisherman?
Yes, that's my office. And I have a 49.5-inch muskie on one wall.
I knew it was one, yeah.
Yeah, and I have a 47-inch northern pike on another wall, and I've got a 28-inch walleye on my desk. So I am very much a fisherman.
Now, where did you catch your 46-inch northern pike? That's a fairly big northern pike.
That's a great snake
That's a
right
big
there.
pike.
It's a very big pike.
Well, every other year I go up to the Northwest Territories. Are you familiar with Great Slave Lake?
Of course.
Yeah, so one of the rivers whose mouth is the Great Slave Lake is the Mackenzie River, and it flows north to the Arctic. And we fish, the lake is too big. If you wanted lake trout, that would be a fine place. But if you go up the river, it is just loaded with huge northern. And it is, I've actually seen, now these are extremely rare, I have seen a fellow catch a 52-inch northern.
Wow.
That is a giant.
I've never even heard of that. I mean,
yeah, giant.
I mean, that's big. I mean, where we normally fish in Canada, the ratings that they have for the fish caught in the various lodges, a 40-inch pike that's 40-inch is rarer than a 50-inch muskie by a factor of about 10 to 1.
Well, that would be true further south, like Lake of the Woods, for instance.
True,
you might find something like that. But when you go way up, now, where we're fishing is right next to the Yukon and roughly as far north as, I think, Anchorage. So it's pretty far up there.
Yeah, it is.
There are no muskie. You're too far north for any muskie, and it's all pike, and they are just giants. Every year we will catch 4 or 5 of 40-inch or more when we go there.
That's a great fish.
So,
wow,
that's the place to go, guys.
So did you have done any fishing in Costa Rica? Because it's a totally different sort of fishing in some of the lakes there.
Well, they have what they call the rainbow bass there, and as I found out, those are actually South African cichlids.
Is that right?
Yes.
I did not know that. I've caught plenty of those, and they're fun to catch. My favorite fishing, I've fished all over Costa Rica, caught probably every kind of fish they have. My favorite fishing is tarpon fishing, and what we do, we fish the river. The Rio Colorado forms the border between Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and we're on the Caribbean side. We go to a little fishing shack there, and we fish the tarpon in the river. So now my largest tarpon is a 185-pounder. That's a pretty big tarpon. That tarpon goes, 6 feet long, I'd say, 6-7 feet long.
Is this on spinning tackle?
Spinning tackle, and my game is I want to catch the biggest fish I can on the lightest tackle possible. So that was caught on 30-pound test.
Wow.
And it took an hour and 10 minutes roughly to catch him. But the river's only 12 feet deep. So imagine you hook a 6-foot long fish. The minute you pull that hook into his mouth, what's he do? He launches out of that river. And it just looks like some sort of dinosaur coming up out of the water. It's very exciting. We're fishing in about 20-foot boats, Boston whalers. So a 6-foot fish pulls a 20-foot boat around.
Yep.
It's a ton of fun. But I tell you, you catch one or two, you feel like you're done for the day. It is hard work. But that's my favorite. But Costa Rica's also got great sailfish, marlin. The mahi bite can be fantastic over on the Pacific side.
Yeah.
And the fishing in the freshwater is great too.
Yeah, we already talked about the Chamber of Commerce giving you a call. I think now the Travel Bureau is going to be knocking on your door too, Mike.
I will tell you, I made the choice of Costa Rica for good, strong business decisions. But when it comes to the personal benefits I've gotten from it, it's been great. I'm so happy that's where my factory is and not in China. I would have hated having to chase over to China every month or two. Whereas I can go down to Costa Rica, especially in the wintertime, because it's perfect. January, February, and March are absolutely perfect down there.
Yep.
And we've done all the stuff there is to do. The whitewater rafting is fantastic. The volcanoes are fun.
Yeah.
Mountain climbing, the rainforests with all the monkeys and the sloths. It's really been a great personal experience as well as a good place to do business.
So tying this whole conversation back into the fastener world, you're actually using your manufacturing to enrich the fishing world too, aren't you? What are you doing there?
We are. Well, I have to give my son credit for this. So my son is a biomedical engineer. He designs heart stents and things like that. But he's also an avid fisherman. And he used his CAD skills that you may know there's a lure. Well, I don't want to use a brand name, but it's named after a type of a dog, let's say. It's a very commonly used muskie lure, a soft lure. And he had an idea to improve that, because the problem with these soft lures is the muskies rip them to shreds, and
yeah, that is
$15 lure, you catch one fish on it. You know?
Right.
And
so
he came up with
if you glue them up and try and use them forever, okay?
And they never work the same.
I'll have to show you our system, really his system. But he designed a way so that the hook, the soft lure would detach from the hook and it gets ejected from the fish's mouth, because the first thing a fish does, it bites. It feels that sharp hook and wants to do it. Opens its mouth and tries to spit whatever just bit it out. So what happens is it bites, the hook gets stuck in its mouth, the soft lure detaches from the hook and flies out to the side of the mouth. And we caught 50 northern pike on one soft lure.
It's pretty good.
So
wow.
So we decided to start making these things, and so far we haven't gone into the business because frankly we're too busy manufacturing plastic knobs. But I'm hoping tonight to get out and try the next version, to go out and see if I can't get some pike or walleye on it.
Now hang on. Are you talking to us in the Schaumburg area?
I'm in the Schaumburg area.
Okay,
so
where
I'm
are you
going to go fishing
tonight? Where are you going to look for pike in the Schaumburg area?
Well, I have a boat up on Bangs Lake in Wakanda.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
There are some great pike in there. There was a 42-incher taken through the ice this winter, and there are quite a few in the 30 to 36-inch range.
Oh, man. All right, all our listeners in the Chicagoland area, this is turning into the fishing report as well. So
this is very important. So do you need any people to try and test your lures to do quality control on them?
Well, I'd be happy to. I'll send you some before your next trip up to Canada, because I'd like to see what you think of them.
I'm a very keen fish. I've used a lot of the spinning plastic lures to catch northern pike, actually.
Yeah, well, we enjoy making our own lures. It's just part of the fun of the hobby. But I think there's a possibility to turn it into a business if we ever get the time to concentrate on it.
Right. That's cool.
Well, that's a whole other industry outside of fasteners, and as we can certainly attest, we tried to blend them at one point, gave up, now here we are. But we get out on the water as frequently as we can. And Mike Connor with Innovative Components, thank you so much for joining us. We're not going to keep you off the lake any longer, and it's been great. I'm glad we did this.
Right.
Thank you very much, Eric and Brian. I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate it.
Once again, folks, get out to knobsource.com. You can find more, and look at that Link Magazine article. They've got the cover this month. It's Innovative Components 25 Years. We'll be back right after a couple of messages, and we'll wind down this episode of Fully Threaded Radio.
Coming to you across the vast audio radiance of the internet, it's the voice of the FCH Sourcing Network. Fully Threaded Radio.
When top quality and outstanding service are at the top of your list in fastener suppliers, turn to Stellfast. Since 1976, Stellfast has grown to become an industry-leading importer and manufacturer of the highest quality industrial fasteners, specialty items, and automotive parts. Our array of facilities across North America and in Asia, along with full quality control labs and ISO 9001-2008 certifications, ensure the highest quality parts, and at Stellfast, they're delivered with undisputed service excellence. We're family-run and dedicated to your success. Our customers have come to depend on the expertise of our staff and the quality of our products. We also offer a wide range of secondary services to meet some of the toughest requirements you might have. Contact Stellfast today through our website at www.stellfast.com and put us to work for you. Stellfast. Service you deserve, people you trust.
Are you tired of empty promises from software vendors? Are you paying for support that you're not receiving? Is it time for another paid upgrade? There is a solution. InSequel delivers quality software designed for the fastener industry at an affordable price with industry-leading support. Unlike other software companies, with InSequel, you purchase your software once. There will never be a paid upgrade. If you need assistance with anything, InSequel is there to help. When you call, you will always speak with a real person offering you quick and knowledgeable answers to your questions. Can your current provider say this? Quality software, affordable pricing, industry-leading support. Only InSequel can deliver all three. So why settle? Call InSequel Software at 877-446-9775 or visit www.inxsql.com.
ND Industries has been solving customers' toughest problems through innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service since 1955. A family-owned business, ND Industries manufactures and applies fastener locking, bonding, sealing, masking, and assembling products. Their pre-application process makes fasteners ready to use at the point of assembly, resulting in reduced labor costs, time savings, and superior quality assurance. As a fully integrated company, ND handles all aspects of operations from formulating custom chemical compounds and coating fasteners to providing inline inspection, packaging, and delivery services. ND Industries serves the global market with 13 divisions in the continental U.S. and also facilities in Taiwan, China, and Turkey. Learn more about ND Industries at our website at www.ndindustries.com. ND Industries. Innovative technologies, competitive pricing, and industry-leading service. Contact ND today.
Hi, this is Bobby Wagner with Beacon Fasteners and Components. You're listening to Fully Threaded Radio.
Say, Brian, it was nice to have Mike O'Connor on the program, but do you think we're going to get a couple free lures out of this deal?
Well, I think we have to keep reminding Mike about that. I'm sure he's got enough going on dealing with multiple manufacturing plants to sort of forget about the practical details of lures, but we'll see. We'll keep reminding him.
Yeah, well, we recorded that a couple days ago. I didn't get any update from him if he caught anything. He was, he was heading out to the lake right after the interview.
Yeah, right. Yeah, actually gives a very persuasive and different view of, I get, manufacturing in Costa Rica as opposed to other, like, low-cost places to manufacture. Really is an interesting view, his.
Yeah, I agree. And we said it during the conversation, but I think the Costa Rica Bureau of Tourism is definitely going to be, or at least the Chamber of Commerce is going to be knocking on his door.
Yeah, asking if he wants to lead a fishing trip through to Costa Rica.
There would be no trick in getting a great bunch of fishing-loving fastener guys down there. I'm 100% sure of that. Well, we'd like to thank Mike O'Connor from Innovative Components for coming on the podcast today. Also, Morgan Wilson and Linh Vu from Emerald Expositions. Dan Zehnder and Mike McNulty with those amazing FDI results from last month. Thank you, gentlemen. And Carmen Vertullo had the Fastener Training Minute today, plus that update on Prop 65. He promises to keep us updated going forward, so thanks to you, Carmen. And if you're someone in the industry who has other ideas on that, let us hear about it. We know there's lots of thoughts swirling around the industry right now, so don't hesitate. This is hopefully a forum where we can air these things out to the extent that they should be aired out.
Yep. Knowledge is good.
If uncomfortable sometimes.
Right. I'm not sure if California state government needs to be the agency educating me either, but I guess we have to take what we get, okay?
The title sponsor of Fully Threaded Radio is StelFast. StelFast, for service you deserve and people you trust. Fully Threaded is also sponsored by Buckeye Fasteners, BTM Manufacturing, the International Fastener Expo, InSequel Software, ND Industries, Parker Fasteners, The Worth Group, Volt Industrial Plastics, and Solution Industries, home of Solution Man. Communicate with us, folks. We'd love to hear what you think. The email address is ftr@fullythreaded.com. And if you're a Twitter user, reach out. The handle's Fully Threaded. Well, Bri, as I was winding things down with Carmen, when we were interviewing on the Prop 65 topic, he pointed out to me something I found interesting and also slightly amusing, and that is there is in existence a website which is also a clearinghouse. In this case, prop65clearinghouse.com.
Wow.
I know you had a chance to get out there and check that out. Now, what was your first impression when you were knocking around this website, Bri?
Well, I guess it is a sort of a clearinghouse of information. Okay. It was not bad. And that's not something that, I personally am, concerned about on a continuous daily basis. However, it does have a lot of information that you could take away. Okay.
Did you notice anything that struck you in direct contrast, say, to the FCH sourcing network?
Not nearly as pretty.
Of course, that was given. I don't know. If you try clicking on any of the links, what I find is basically you're not really getting the info unless you're paying to get in.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that I noticed. Which, see, with FCH, get out there. It's free to use. You just type in a fastener you're looking for, and boom.
Right.
Of course, all the law firm links are hot, Bri.
Right. Well, that goes with this whole law, which is aimed at giving lots of work to lots of lawyers, okay?
You noticed that, huh?
Yeah. There's nothing about how you can protect yourself from these dangerous chemicals. Is how you can make money by getting hold of lawyers, okay?
So much to be said without saying anything further, I think, on that one, Bri.
Right. Recent, and at the very top of the list, recent settlements, okay? Right, okay. I presume there's some common sense somewhere behind it all.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. On the other hand, folks, you can hold your breath for the next episode of Fully Threaded Radio, because that's going to put this one in the can.
And what's the can made of? It's not a material known to the state of California to be cancerous, I hope.
Not galvanized, not containing cadmium, I promise.
Okay, righto. Thank you. Then we can handle it.
And if there's questions beyond that, we'll cover it next time. For Brian Musker, this is Eric Dudas. Get out there, sell some screws, don't say too much, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you then.
Fully Threaded Radio is a production of Fastener's Clearinghouse. Music provided by Audionautics.